Everybody, welcome back to the Quiet Time Podcast with your host, Bennie Fowler, and your other host, Bennie Fowler Jr., CEO. We are coming to you to talk about winning teams, and we're diving more and deeply into it. So, Dad, go ahead. Let's start the conversation.
Yeah, well, I'm always thinking about building winning teams and trying to get feedback from champions. And you've been a champion pretty much all your life. If I, start back with you, standing on the podium, doing the long jump, being number one in the country in the long jump at 10 years old, watching you in the state regionals, hurdles, high school football, etc. And what I'm always interested in is taking it from a individual perspective, or maybe you started with a progression as a kid. How you actually process this. Like what was it first like as you go back and think about it, 8 to 10, 11 to 12, and obviously at a certain point you said, okay, I'm doing basketball, I'm doing track, I'm doing this, and then you decided football, and then there's probably some progression that you went through mentally that says, hey, I need to do something if I'm going to do whatever. So I call that the individual intent. And what I really wanted to really kind of explore that a little bit, just kind of get your perspective on, what were you thinking about? How did you perceive me as a coach, the people that you're around with Coach Blakemore as your track coach, and then you played for Coach Lee, Bailey. And there's a number of guys that were always around the Power Stroke program. There were guys around the Falcons football. There was guys that you played with at Country Day. And, it's interesting to get your perspective on how you've been processing that over time. And ultimately now you have the GPS method that you're talking about, and you've written a book. And there's a lot of progression that you've made as an individual. And, as a father, I'm looking to kind of bring that out to say, hey, let's have a conversation about that, and let's talk about the important elements. How did you put that together, and when did the elevator connect for you to take it all the way to the top?
Well, for me, it really didn't connect until I left for college, until I left for Michigan State. Growing up and playing sports, if we're talking about sports right now, and the way I grew up, sports was always kind of easy for me. And, just with the God-given ability that I was blessed with. So, there were elements of working hard and the conditioning and the small things that we had to do, the mental, physical, spiritual. But in terms of athleticism, God had blessed me with a lot of athleticism. So, it didn't really start clicking, and everything didn't start going in and clicking for me as an individual until I left and went to Michigan State, because that's when all of the athletes there were on the same level, if not better, stronger, faster than I was, just because of the difference, being 18, and then you're also playing with 22-year-olds, 23-year-olds. So it's just a little bit different. So that's when all the hard work and the sprints and really having to do it on my own really came into play. Being 8, 10 years old, just not much, I remember about competing in those games or competing with those people. I remember the practices and the people that I was around, being around great coaches such as yourself, Coach Blakemore, Coach Bailey, Coach Bernard Lee, Coach Sean McCoggle, the Falcons coaches, Coach LaRue, Coach Sean, great people, incredible people that pushed me, and they helped me understand the importance of discipline as well, things that I was hearing in my household. But like I said, it really never really clicked for me. It always clicks for people at different times. And for me, it clicked at 18, like, oh, you're out on your own, you're by yourself. But now I have to do a lot of catching up. Football came easy to me in high school, but I wasn't necessarily a football player, I would say. I would say I was an athlete. So that's where it came. And then when I look back and kind of go back on the moments that I've had in life, I've had some struggling moments, and those are the moments and the best moments that I've learned from. But that comes back to that mental, physical, spiritual. And if I think back to like the first like tough moment I had would be like my first varsity basketball game. That was a tough moment, airballing that free throw. You know, I've always wanted to play on varsity, and then airballing that free throw in front of that sold out crowd was a moment that I had never experienced, and that nervousness I had never experienced before. And I think that's where it started to come back to the fundamentals and the preparation. I wasn't necessarily prepared for that moment. Yes, I had a lot of dreams and aspirations to play on varsity, but I wasn't necessarily prepared for that moment. And when I look back on my life now, that's like one of the first moments where I had some real failure, but I didn't know how to learn from that like I do now. But you know, there's a lot of things that I learned in as I was growing up.
Well, I have a something that I've been working on, and I want to kind of read this out. I said, dedicated time at the task where compromise cannot be a consideration. And the way I think about this is if there's a real intent to prepare to win, backed up by dedicated time at the task, this will enhance the probability for success. Doesn't guarantee it, but I want to repeat that again. Dedicated time at the task where compromise cannot be a consideration. And, you know, I'm always thinking about preparing to be for the moments, you know, that you're talking about, the kinds of moments that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And you know that if you're going to be a part of a winning team, you certainly have to prepare yourself, and you have to dedicate a certain set of time in terms of examining yourself, to both the mental, physical, and spiritual elements of it. I mean, sometimes people go in and say, well, I don't get nervous, and maybe they don't get nervous because they prepared so much so that when they walk into the moment is just for them. So I'm really going to stay on this element of building superior teams. And I'm always trying to talk to myself or world-class professional leaders in terms of people that are actually leading world-class organizations that take on organizations that are losing, and they take them from losing organizations to winning organizations. What do they actually think about? And this notion of making a commitment to a identifiable winning strategy. And, you know, if you think about the great teams, you know, they always have a strategic concept that they're winning, that they're playing inside of, and then that you know, everything kind of rolls off from the strategy and how they want to play the game, how they want to attack certain situations, et cetera. And I'm just, you know, as we start to have these conversations, these will be more the elements of exploration that we can share as we talk to our listeners around, you know, building superior teams and preparing yourself for the moments that matter. And I just leave you with this concept is being at your best when the moments count. I mean, there's a lot of times that you can, you know, play a 40-minute game, and you know, everything can be going well for 38 of them, and then in the last 2 minutes, situations emerge. Situations are critical, whether it be, you know, making decisions around who you're going to keep, if the organization has to be downsized, who you're going to select, if it has to be upside, if you have to move it, if situations have to change in terms of businesses. You know, these are all the things that leaders have to think about. Being at your best when the moments and the seconds and the minutes and the decisions count.
I definitely agree with that. You know, you do have to be at your best all the time. And that's what life and being a high performer is all about, is being at your best when the moments count. And, you know, that does come down to preparation. I heard you say that, you know, some people don't get nervous. I don't know anybody who doesn't get nervous in high performance or in situations. I've heard, you know, people say that, but I don't necessarily agree with that. If Michael Jordan got nervous, everybody gets nervous. You know, so that's just kind of the way I think about it. You know, if Peyton gets jitters, everybody gets jitters. And these are people who have mastered their craft. And I think the way people can look at nervousness before things is just kind of reframe it, and that you're excited about what you're getting ready to do. You're not nervous. You're not scared, but you can train your mind to understand that you're getting ready to do something significant, and you're excited about it because of the preparation that you've put in. So, but yeah, when it comes to being at those moments, people definitely get a little bit, I would say, excited, not nervous.
All right, fantastic, man. I mean, that's really my concept of the day. And obviously, being in these moments where we're, having conversations about building superior teams, about individual performance in businesses and in sports or in life in general. I mean, there's just things that, obviously that are on my mind that I really want to explore and share and continue the dialogue about it. So that's what I had on my mind for today. And I wanted to ask you about that, as you, embark upon your new challenges that you're about to take on. And hopefully every day there'll be something that's on my mind. I'll be able to ask you a question and you ask me, and we'll be able to share it with our listeners.
Yeah. So everybody, thank you for tuning in to the Quiet Time Podcast with Bennie and Bennie. We appreciate you guys for listening. Please continue to share these episodes out with people as we are trying to gain more listenership. We appreciate the support. Thank you guys. We will see you next time.